functioning app? Is it?
We don't have a functioning app. This is just a demo,
Okay.
unfortunately, but we'll be there soon.
Well, the app would be really easy to write.
With 200,000 dollars.
Or, developer friends.
So, thank you for the business model walkthrough. I had a question on the customer validation piece. So, did you do concept testing
We did.
over the last couple days?
Yep. Saturday morning, we talked to about 40 people who were standing in line board in front of Short Stack Eatery,
Okay.
and talked to them about their app purchasing preferences. And then we also tested the game itself with a very stripped down version of it at a couple of bars last night. And in both cases, about 75% of the people we talked to said that they would purchase the app. And we got 7 people to give us email addresses to be notified when the app is released.
We got probably about a handful of hilarious videos of people doing stupid tricks in the bar. So, fortunately, they were great quality, otherwise we would have put them on the slideshow.
Okay.
Anybody else?
So I wonder, it's such an interesting idea at starting with Cedar Point and the line waiting and at concert venues and things like that. But if I'm curious if the venue would be interested in having some kind of pay fee
Yeah.
customers.
So it's a great question, and we've got early validation through that. We approached Alex, who's one of the founders of Short Stack Eatery, and she was interested in purchasing the app. So.
One reason why we're not pursuing that as our early revenue model, though, is that the cost of customer acquisition is always very high. That's where you're trying to earn your money, is through the venues. You have to go to them individually, but it's definitely a long-term option with larger venues.
Anyone personal friends with Jimmy Kimmel?
That's what the $1.8 million of marketing funds are. Buy the friendship.
So one of the questions I had, sort of thinking about riskiest assumptions, is like, do people want to do these things in public? Like, are they doing these like in parties, like where there's not
We've
out in
seen
public?
that it works in public. I mean, we had
Okay.
several people. It's definitely a personality thing. It's a polarizing game. I will be honest, half of my friends think it's the most fun thing ever. The other half run screaming from the room when we mention the name. But the half that love it have a great time, and the other half actually have a great time as long as they're not being the ones there. They love watching it.
I think the videos out of this would be really interesting. Like, a lot could happen out of that in a way that some of the other games, there's nothing personal really about it.
Right.
So
And on that note, Heads Up was very successful with the fact that, I don't know if you've ever played it, but you play the game by holding your phone on your forehead, and the rear-facing camera automatically captures video. One thing that was a problem, though, is a lot of people hold it too high, so you don't actually get a video of people.
All right, we're good to go? Are you guys ready?
Give it guys just a minute.
Okay. Good? Go for it. Okay. Cool. We are Evergreen, a service to help high schoolers find their career fit. So in the United States, there are 470 high school students for each school counselor, and 27% of college students who are now employed actually aren't using what they studied for their career. Now, career planning is hard. It's highly under-resourced in high schools, and it doesn't allow high schoolers the opportunity to really test those careers before they actually go out and start studying for them. So the solution is Evergreen, the service to help high schoolers identify potential career opportunities that are a fit for them based on their personal interests, subjects that they like, then browse a little bit more into them, see if the long-term outlook is a good fit and there's opportunity there, and then actually find local opportunities to test those with employers who can allow shadowing and internship opportunities where they can really start to whittle down that list. And that's really the best way to find out if a career is right for you in the long term.
Exactly. It's that experiential learning that allows you to know, is this the fit for me? Only you can tell yourself that, and we're lowering the barrier to finding those opportunities for you, the student. In many cases, we might be the only way for you to find those. And for the schools, we're allowing them to provide this service to their students, which they probably don't have the resources to do or the money to do. And with that in mind, we're also then working with the community, helping the businesses build a good relationship with the community, but also in the long run, helping them build that talent pipeline for any future prospects. Now with this, we did do some validation with parents and former students, and pretty much the consensus of what we heard time and time again was they didn't have this when they were doing their career planning. They would have liked to have this and they would have used this when they were going through that process. Now, what helps validate this too is that this isn't a new market. There is a big competitor there, it's Career Cruising. Milwaukee actually pays them $200,000 a year to use their service, but in talking to some guidance counselors, there's one big thing missing from there, and that is they don't provide actual opportunities to test drive anything. They don't have those local opportunities available, and that's one way that Evergreen is going to be able to differentiate itself.
So let's walk through our models. How does Evergreen help a student like Sharon, who is a local high school student, junior? She has various interests and also a really strong science background. So what she would do is go on our free website, she sets out her profile and enters her interests and hobbies and other survey questions, and we use that data to generate a list of potential career options for her. So in her case, a bunch of technical-oriented jobs. So she would like to, let's just say, explore being a physician. So physician obviously is a good job, but it's high stress, a lot of years in training, and also very high student debt. That's not something that she wants to get into, so she says no. So the next job she looks at is being an electrician. She looks at it and says, oh, it's very high earning potential, very high earning potential, with really low cost of, or relatively low cost of education and a lot of job opportunities. So she likes to explore that further. She looks into it, she finds that only 2 years of education after high school, get an associate degree, and there's an on-the-job training with a paid apprenticeship model for 5 years. And again, low cost of education with average student debt way below national average, about half, which is at 15,000 compared to 30,000 national average. So she explores this further. She looks at her local opportunities. There's various shadowing opportunities, internships, and also real jobs. Since she's still only in high school, she's just a junior. She's got 2 more years to go. So she decides to do some shadowing. So she applies to local opportunities, and she's on her way to explore that job.
Now, how's Evergreen going to provide those awesome opportunities? We're going to partner with local industry experts, not only to find those opportunities and put them on the platform, but also make sure that we're building out the pathway accurately to represent what's actually required to be successful in that industry. And in doing that and providing those quality pathways, those frequent touch points early on in that career planning process, we're going to build a level of trust with our students and a strong relationship that's going to be tough to match. It's that's going to bring those students back to us when they're making the big decisions. Where am I going to go to college, or what job am I going to take? And it's those two, education and job employment, that have some of the highest cost per lead acquisition fees across any industry. $50 to $200 is on average common for higher education, and with that there's a market potential of over 500 million just looking at the population of high schoolers in the US. We believe in the next 5 years we could be within 8 states and capturing nearly 70 million of that. And so we're looking for help finding a technical co-founder and any education contacts or online marketing contacts you might have in the area. Thanks, we're Evergreen.
All right, 3 minutes Q&A.
So you mentioned the career cruising, costs about $200,000 a year for the annual license. I'm not sure if I understood.
I forgot to mention, it's free to schools and students.
Okay.
So that's really where we can provide, better career fits, understanding through that learning without having to charge that.
It can save a lot of money for the school districts who are obviously strapped for cash.
Sorry, I totally missed. Where does the revenue come from?
So the revenue comes from lead generation from higher education, and later on, as the students progress through university, when they apply for jobs, lead generation also for their job placements.
So in addition to saying, hey, here's an internship, you might be interested in that. Here's a college, you might be interested in that. And so recommending that entire pathway of learning and jobs, when they get to those points, those would also be leads we're able to generate, which would actually bring back revenue.
Right. So there is a significant network effect involved. We need both the students on board to get the employers on board. We need the employers on board to get the students on board. This will cost some capital to start up, but we expect it to generate significant returns in the long run.
So you said you talked to some parents and students. You talked to being a two-sided market, talked to the local businesses about wanting to find opportunities for local students.
So we had a few opportunities to talk with local business owners, and they often mentioned that they did have significant difficulties with their talent pipeline. And they were also, they also invest heavily in the community, and they seemed like they were open to the possibility of helping out with our job shadowing programs and informational interview programs as well.
A lot of times, small business owners excited to talk about what they're doing. A lot of times, big corporations get it and it's PR and are happy to kind of get folks in there.
Quick question. So, building on that, do you have a sense of why your competitors haven't been successful at doing the shadowing in the future? What?
It's sort of it's a long-term network building effect. It takes it will take a significant investment, and it's risky. So they already have sort of successful business models, and there's no good reason for them to take the additional risk.
Yeah. I think it's one of those that's also, it's a trend. It's also, let's empower the student, let's put them in control. And so I think that is a newer trend, unfortunately, and something, though, that we're ready to kind of help push and help facilitate and empower the student that way.
And if we're being honest, there's probably a lower return on this versus that model, but this is a more socially conscious approach in our perspective. And that's part of our motivating ethos, which makes it a little bit, a little bit more difficult from the investment perspective, but we hope we can find some investors who are willing to take that.
I think our local community building approach is different than theirs. Hey, we sell software and that's it.